Welcome to the Inland Valley Storytellers monthly story swap. My name is John St. Clair, and I am the leader of the Inland Valley Storytellers. And we are, for the first time in almost 3 years, having an in-person meeting, but we're also continuing the Zoom meeting. So we have a hybrid meeting. So I'm staring at my laptop computer as well as looking at the small audience tonight. And everybody here knows each other, except our Zoom person doesn't know. John C., do you want to introduce yourself to people?
Yes, I'm John C. I'm up in Ventura County, Port Hueneme, and I've known Chris and John, Chris since I was 13 or so, and John a little bit older. Anything else?
Oh, that's good. That's good. And you have been to live performances at the Folk Music Center, right?
I went to the last one there, which I really enjoyed. I've gone to the Ojai festival before, which is close to me. So
Okay, so and you know Chris. Barbara, do you want to introduce yourself to John C.?
Sure. My name's Barbara Rougeley. Glad to meet you.
hi, Barbara.
I've been involved with the storytelling for less as long as John, but before that it was in the Folk Music Center itself with Dorothy Chase running it. And that was my first introduction to organized storytelling.
Great.
And I volunteer at Sumner Elementary School as a storyteller when they can have storytellers visit the classroom. And I'm looking forward to doing that this week. Glad to meet you, John C.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you.
Okay, so Barbara, do you want to go first or second?
Up to you.
Well, I think I'm going to go ahead and tell my story. Okay, so I have a folk tale from India. Long ago in India, there lived a vain and ferocious lion. He roamed the jungle and killed for pleasure. To show his power, he would kill more animals than he could possibly eat. The other animals were terrified by this beast, and one day they gathered together to try to figure out a way they could get the lion to change his evil ways. And they came up with a plan. They decided to present to the lion a proposal that they would choose one of their own to be sacrificed to the lion each day if he would stop his wanton killing of a whole bunch of animals every day. And so they worked up the courage to go as a group to the lion's den. And one of them shouted out, "O lion, king of the jungle, please listen to our proposal. If you will stop your unnecessary killing, we will present to you one animal every day for your dinner. Think of it. You could live a life of leisure. No need to hunt for your food anymore. One animal every day will willingly come to your den and offer to be your dinner." So the lion thought about this. And then, to everyone's surprise, he roared, "I accept your plan. However, it's very important that this creature that comes as a sacrifice for my dinner arrive at the proper time. I like to eat shortly after high noon, and I do not like to wait for my meal." So the animals went back to the gathering where they had met to begin with, and they chose who was to go the next day. It was going to be a wise old rabbit. And so that next morning, the wise old rabbit woke up, did his normal routine in the morning, and started off heading towards the lion's den. And he was taking his sweet old time. He would stop and munch on some flowers and munch on some grass, stop and visit with some friends. And by the time he made it to the lion's den, it was well past high noon, halfway through the afternoon. And so when he arrived, the lion was not happy. And he said, "You are late. Why are you so late?" And the wise old rabbit said, "Oh, your majesty, I know I'm late, but it's not my fault. You see, on the way, I was attacked by this ferocious lion. I'm lucky I made it here at all." "What?" said the lion. And the rabbit said, "Yes, he was ferocious. He had sharp claws just like yours, and a long tail, and a big bushy mane and sharp teeth. He looked very much like you. And I just barely escaped." "This is terrible," said the lion. "There can't be another lion in my territory. Can you show me where I can find this lion?" And the rabbit said, yes, I think I know where he's staying. Follow me." And so the rabbit led the lion to a very large well with water in it. And the rabbit walked up and leaned over and said, "The lion's down here, resting." And so the lion walked over and he looked down into the well and he saw his own reflection. And he went, "Rah!" Well, the well echoed that back to him. "Rah!" And then the lion said, "Who are you?" And the echo came back, "Who are you?" And the lion said, "I am king of the jungle." And the echo came back, "I am king of the jungle." And the lion was getting very, very upset. "How dare you say that you are the king of the jungle?" And the echo came back, "How dare you say you are king of the jungle?" And that was it. The lion lost all control. He was so furious that he put his claws out and he jumped into the well and he drowned. And so the rabbit went back to tell the rest of the animals what had happened, saying the lion had attacked his reflection in the water and would no longer be a problem for them. Thank you.
Great. So where did you find that story?
That was in, I'll get the book.
What are these?
It was in Heather Forrest's book, Wisdom Tales.
She would do it with. Oh.
Yeah. And Nick has joined us. Hi, Nick. Okay, so Barbara, you want to be next?
Hello. My name is Barbara Rougeley, and my story comes from a long, long time ago and from far, far away. It comes from Russia, where there was a good Russian mother who was making her winter holiday meal, and all she had was potato stew. She was stirring the potato stew, and she was thinking of her children and how wonderful they were. But when she looked into the pot of stew, she said, "What am I going to do? I need more potatoes for my stew. I'll have to send daughter number one to the market." So she called her name. "Natasha, Natasha." And in came Natasha. Shouldn't use hand cream before I do this story.
You want me to do it?
Yeah. It's funny. Thank you. It is tight. Thank you very much. Hello, Mommy. Hello, Natasha. Natasha, yes, Mommy. Would you go to the market and get the potatoes for our stew? Yes, Mommy, I will. And off she went. Natasha, back she came. Natasha, you must promise to go straight to the market. Oh, I promise, Mama. And don't stop in the park and play with your friends. No, Mama, I won't. And off went Natasha. But those potatoes did not come back home. Do you think Natasha went straight to the market? I don't think so, and neither did the good Russian mother. Do you think that she might have stopped and talked with one friend or two? I think so, and so did the good Russian mother. So as she stirred her stew, she thought again, what am I going to do? I need those potatoes for my stew. I'll have to send daughter number 2 to the market. So she called her name. Now here's where you all can help me tell this story. I ask you to think of a name, girl's name, and then for the whole rest of the day, you have to remember that you were naming daughter number 1, and you'll have to remember her name. You ready? Who would like to be the first one to name the daughter? Nick? John C? Chris?
Yeah.
Sarah. So the good Russian mother called her daughter number 2. Sarah, Sarah, and in came little Sarah. Hello, Mommy. Hello, Sarah. Sarah. Yes, Mommy. Would you go to the market and get the potatoes for our stew? Yes, Mommy, I will. And off she went. Sarah, back she came. You must promise to go straight to the market. Oh, I promise, Mama. And don't stop in the park. And okay, this is where you can help me tell the story also. What would a child like to do in a park? Slides, swings, that kind of thing? Who wants to be the one to remember that daughter number 2 was playing in the park on what equipment?
A teeter-totter.
Teeter-totter. Don't stop in the park and play on the teeter-totter. No, Mommy, I won't. And off went little Sarah. But those potatoes did not come back home. Do you think Sarah went straight to the market? No, neither did the good Russian mother. Do you think she might have stopped in the park and played on the teeter-totter? I think so too. So the good Russian mother said, what'd she say? What am I going to do? I need those potatoes for my stew. I'll have to send daughter number 1, 2, 3. She called her name. And here's where you can help me tell the story. What name will daughter number 3 have?
Ilyana.
Ilyana. Ilyana. Ilyana. And in came little Ilyana. Hello, Mommy. Hello, Ilyana. Ilyana. Yes, Mommy. Would you go to the market and get the potatoes for our stew? Yes, Mommy, I will. And off she went. Ilyana, back she came. You must promise to go straight to the market. Oh, I promise, Mama. And don't stop in the park. What will we have Ilyana doing in the park this time? Who wants to suggest something? Nick, how about you?
Picking flowers.
Don't stop in the park and pick flowers. No, Mommy, I won't. Off went little Ilyana. But those potatoes did not come back home. Do you think Ilyana went straight to the market? You think she might have stopped in the park and picked a flower or 2? I think so too. And so did the good Russian mother. So what did she say? What am I going to do? I need those potatoes for my stew. I have to send daughter number 4. She called her name. Can you help me? Name this daughter number 4. Somebody's going to have to repeat their
Katerina.
Katarina. 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 And in came little baby Katarina. Hello, Mommy. Hello, Katarina. Katarina. Yes, Mommy. Would you go to the market and get the potatoes for our stew? Yes, Mommy, I will. And off she crawled. Christina. Katrina. Katerina, come back. Back. You must promise to go straight to the market. Oh, Mama, I promise. And don't stop in the park. And what will Katerina be doing in the park?
Do somersaults.
Don't stop in the park and do somersaults. No, Mommy, I won't. Off went little Katerina. Those potatoes did not come back home. You think Ileana went straight to the market? Katerina went straight to the market? No, and neither did the good Russian mother. Do you think she stopped in the park and played picking flowers? I think so too. So what did the good Russian mother say? What am I going to do? I need those potatoes for my stew. I'll just have to take the baby and go myself. And she called the baby's name. Baby, baby. And in came the little baby. Here's the little baby. Don't come to me. I'm coming to you so you can see it. Little baby. Little baby. Little baby. Little baby. So the good Russian mother picked up the little baby and went to the market. First she found daughter number, what daughter is this? Help me count. 1, 2, 3. Whose name was what? Katerina. Katerina. Oh, and she was doing exactly what her mother had asked her not to do, and that was picking flowers. Oh, somersaults. Oh, somersaults. Oh, glad I have good memories. She went on a little further, and the next daughter she found was daughter number 3, whose name was Ileana. She scooped her up. She was doing exactly what her mother had asked her not to do. Does anybody remember what that was? She was picking flowers. Okay. On a little further, she found daughter number 2, whose name was, do you remember? Sarah. Yes, Sarah. She scooped her up. Sarah was in the park doing exactly what her mother had asked her not to do. That was teeter-tottering, I think, wasn't it? Don't see. She went on a little further and she found daughter number 1. I had named daughter number 1. Does anybody remember her name? Natasha. And Natasha was doing exactly what her mother had asked her not to do. That was talking to friends. She wasn't talking with just one friend. She was talking with 2 friends. Boyfriends. Oh, her mother picked her up, took her to the market. I have to put beeswax on this thing. And that year, that family had the finest potato stew they'd ever had. And that's the story of the good Russian mother and potato stew. Thank you.
Thank you, Barbara. Okay. Do you have a story, Chris? Okay. Nick, do you have a story? Nick? Maybe. And I just remembered something. I should have been doing Spotlight. There, now Nick's on Spotlight.
Hi, Nick.
Yeah, I just did it from my own end, because individual people can adjust it in their own thing with the view control in the upper right.
Yeah.
All right. Now, this is a story that comes from a very old tradition in Europe. And you may or may not be aware of it, but in Europe, there were sort of pseudo-biblical stories told over the centuries, both based on Jewish and Christian versions of religion, but becoming folk tales based on the people that the land was from. And some of these were by people who were neither Christian nor Jews, based on their own take on the things that they perceived. And some of these are therefore a tiny bit unusual. This is one of the ones that comes from the Romani people, And I have to explain to you that the reason that they were called gypsies was as an insult because they supposedly came from Egypt. Now, why coming from Egypt should be an insulting thing has never been clear to me. But in fact, they passed through Egypt during a period of time in their history because they actually followed the armies of Alexander the Great back from what we call India. And they lived in the Ptolemaic lands of the Middle East for some time before scattering throughout the rest of the Western world. So technically, for a while, they were not from Egypt, but they lived in Egypt. But I digress. For there was in those days a king who committed a great evil, and that evil was in order that a certain child not surpass him, that all the childs who were suspected of being the special child be captured and slain. And so it was that one of the Romani camps in the hills in what we call the Holy Land saw a family approach late in an evening. Their singing and dancing and feasting were done for the evening, or almost, but a man and a woman and a donkey and a small child, a baby, came into the camp and said, "It is bitterly cold, and it would be of great help to us if we could at least share the warmth of your fire. We are afraid that you'll get in trouble with King Herod for helping us, but it is just so cold." Well, at the mention of Herod's name, the gentleman who was sitting in the place of honor at the fire laughed, and the others laughed after him and said, "If we cared for anything that Herod did, we would not be up in the hills ourselves. Stay, join us, share some food, share the fire." And so it was that the husband and the wife and the baby warmed themselves at the fire, and the baby played with the colorful scarves that the women had. And eventually, everyone settled down and went to sleep. Well, in the morning, when the Romani folk woke up, the family was gone. They had clearly left before dawn to be on their way and to minimize problems. But the strangest thing happened. During the night, when the others were asleep, things of an almost magical nature took place. For you see, with the child and the others near the fire, sparks might fly away from the fire, or the fire might burn down. And yet, the baby never suffered from the cold or from the sparks. For you see, as the fire burned down, little bits of branch from a nearby tree just happened to fall into the fire to keep it alight. And as the sparks flew, a bird came down from that tree and caught the sparks with its own feathers to keep them from striking the baby. So it was that in the morning, the baby was unharmed and yet warm. The Romani folk knew nothing of that, but as they began to start their day, a voice came out of nowhere. And the voice said, "I am an angel, and you have done a great thing this night. For the child you have protected is one destined to be king over all. What reward would you have?" And the Romani folk said, "Kings? We don't care for any kings but our own. If we cared for the words of kings, we'd have done what Herod wanted." Well, the voice of the angel was silent because that was not the answer it was really expecting. And it turned to the tree and said, "Tree, you gave of your own branches, your own strength to help warm the child. For that, your branches shall never be bare of leaves. And so it was that the yew tree from that time on was always green. And bird, you who suffered the burning of your own feathers in order to save the child from the sparks, you shall be rewarded, and your feathers shall always reflect the color of those sparks. And you shall be the harbinger of life to come each year. And so it was that the robin gained both its red breast feathers and its reputation as the first bird of spring. But the voice turned back to the Romany folk and said, "Are you sure you would have nothing? Because you have done something of kindness that not everyone would." And the leader of the Romany camp said, "Just give us our way and we'll get by." So it was that the angel of the Lord left them as they would be, and no matter what has been done to them, no matter what they've had to endure, the Romany folk, they get by. That's the story of the second Noel as told by the Romany folk.
Thank you, Nick.
Where did you get that story?
Weirdly enough, a number of years ago, I was researching Romany and traveler tales from all over. And that's one of the ones that struck me as being really interesting because it comes from one of the Eastern European Romany traditions, and it's so different from the other stories that it got my attention. The other one was one of the traveler stories from the British Isles because they actually have a St. George story, which is like, why do the Romany have a St. George story? But they do, and it's funny. So it's one of those kind of things that sticks around because it's kind of an interesting story.
Yep. So are you now officially retired?
My last official day of being paid to work for the library was last Friday.
Whoa! Whoa!
Hey.
Now that doesn't mean I haven't been back at the library because, no, actually a week ago Friday, because since then I've been there for 2 holiday performances. I don't know if I ever told you, but I'm part of a band of musicians that was based at the library. So we did our open public one today, and we did the one for the library staff last Thursday.
Cool.
So do you feel good about retirement?
Yes, although I'm ridiculously busy, of course.
Yes.
That's how retirement works.
You've always been busy.
Well, at least this time I don't have to commute so much of the week.
Yeah. True.
That was eating into my time in addition to the 40 hours of work, so that on a bad day I was away from home for 12 hours, not counting any after work meetings.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that's good.
Congratulations.
Anyway, if you're having the meetings at the Claremont Forum, this time I couldn't do it because, as I said, I had a performance that was in Pasadena and I didn't get out of the place there till 6. But next month I might be able to come out to the forum for the evening.
Okay. Yeah, I think we're going to try it. As I told Barbara tonight, they are not charging us anymore.
Oh,
We get it free. So why not? I mean, we don't have a big group, but we're just starting again, and maybe we can build it back up. And
sure.
we don't have to worry about it depleting our funds.
Right.
It is a little strange though, because we started at 7:30 before, but we'd arrive about 7 when they closed to the general public, and we would set up, and they won't let us do that anymore.
Sure.
They have very rigid shutdown procedures that they're following now, including wiping down surfaces and that kind of thing because of COVID. And it was kind of bizarre. Chris and I were waiting right outside the door, and at 7:29, Ivan the guy that works here, and there was one other person I think with him, right? Turned off all the lights, locked the door, turned off all the lights, and went out the back. And then it was 7:30, and we came in to a dark room and had to turn all the
Okay.
lights back on. I do have a key to get in.
Yeah.
He said he does not want us to enter or leave by the back door. He wants us to use the front door only.
Okay.
But it means we really can't start right at 7:30. I think it was 7:38 by the time I got the Zoom up and running and had the chairs in place. So if we're willing to go with those parameters, it's free.
Sure. That's even cheaper than cheap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And hopefully we can have better attendance. This December's a tough month. There are a number of people that had things going.
Right.
And it's very, very cold.
Yes. It is currently 48 outside where I am, and the temperature is projected to drop into the high 30s.
Yeah.
Ours too.
Yeah. It was this morning at my house on the thermometer on the back porch, it was 34.
Whoa.
Wow.
Yeah, that's almost freezing.
Yeah.
Today.
Yeah, there were reports of frost warnings for some parts of Southern California, so that doesn't surprise me.
Okay, well, I think I'm going to stop the record. Oh, do you have any storytelling announcements to make?
No, but I was going to ask, is there any word about the idea of doing the story swapping festival again?
Well, I'm going to post a message this week. You know, there is a Facebook page. Are you aware of that?
No.
It's called Southern California Story Swap Group.
Okay. I'll have to look for that.
It was set up, I believe, by Angela and True Thomas
Okay.
a couple of years ago. Now, True Thomas now is spending all of his time being a Santa Claus.
Well, in December, he's done that for years.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, he even does conferences in off season, training people to be Santas and stuff.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
He's really, really into it. Anyway, I can send you the link to the Facebook page.
Sure.
You can ask, it's a members only. You can ask to join, and I've been given moderator status, so I can accept you if you want to.
Sure.
And that could be where we discuss doing a story swap festival this spring and who's willing to do it.
All right.
Okay, so I can't think of anything else. I'm going to stop the recording.